Today we're going to cook the perfect poached salmon. Well, today we're going to cook the perfect poached salmon. Now, lots of people want to know, well, I can't cook fish. How do I even poach fish? We're going to show you a lot of helpful tips, including how to make the perfect sauce to go along with the salmon. Now, I'm going to tell you this because I had the honor to cook for Julia Child, and this exact dish is the one that I cooked along with the salmon and the sauce, and she loved it. I know you're going to love it. I'm Chef Don McMillan, and I would love to have you subscribe to my channel. If you've got any questions about maybe cooking fish or poaching fish, if you have some maybe experiences you'd like to share, let me know. Put it in the comments. I'll be happy to respond. And by the way, our recipe is located right underneath the comments. And you're going to want to stick around because we've got so many helpful tips to show you. We're going to have fun today. Here's how we get ready to get started to do this wonderful dish. Okay, so first of all, we're going to have some aromatic vegetables. I've chosen celery and I've also chosen carrots. In addition to that, it'll be part of our presentation, so it'll look even nice. Here's how I like to peel carrots. Everybody's got potato peelers at home, and these peelers have two blades. However, most of us think in one direction. So if you're right-handed, you actually peel in that direction. If you're left-handed, you'll peel in this direction. However, with your potato peeler or your vegetable peeler at home, you can actually do it in half the amount of time by just going back and forth like this. Look at that. I peel a carrot, and I'll peel things like zucchinis and cucumbers the same way. And look at that, peeled it in half the time. And for most people, peeling one carrot is not much of a chore. But when I was cooking, I used to cook on merchant vegetables, and I had to cook for 62 hungry seamen. I was peeling 25 pounds of carrots every day. So you know I got some helpful hints. I'm gonna cut off the tips. I don't like to use the tips. I don't even use them when I'm making stock. I find that it's bitter, and I don't want bitter in my food, okay? I'm gonna slice these at a diagonal, okay? Or also sometimes called a bias. I had a class one time with some Girl Scouts. They were getting their badge for cooking, and when I said about cutting up carrots on a bias, they knew exactly what I was talking about. And I'm thinking, oh wow, you girls been cooking for a while. They said, no, we learned to cut on a bias because what? They learned to sew. And if you've ever done any sewing, you probably know about sewing on a bias. It was new to me because I don't really sew that much. My mother did show me how to darn my socks, but that's another story. Okay, so I have my vegetables cut at diagonal. Let's put them right into our poaching liquid, which we're going to make in just a minute. I also have some celery. I'm going to slice those also at a bias. Did you see how I hold my knife? 4 fingers right here on the handle and 1 thumb right here on the bolt. That's so that knife doesn't wiggle around on my board. Also, if you'll note my hands, I have a monster grip. So these 2 fingers are recessed and my other 3 fingers are just holding the vegetables. And the knife is going to rotate on my knuckle and the point doesn't leave the board. So this is called slicing, not dicing, just slice, or it's not even chopping. So now we'll take this and place that also in our pan for the poaching liquid. In addition to the poaching liquid, I'm going to have 1 bay leaf and some peppercorns. Don't put a lot of peppercorns. These things are potent. I've done this before. I threw a handful in a pot of water one time and it emptied the whole house. People just couldn't stand in there. It was really like fumigating. Don't do that. 2 or 3, all you need. All right? Now, for the poaching liquid, obviously we're going to put in water. So let's go ahead and put some water in there. Turn our heat up. The next ingredient, and this could be optional if you wish. In my case, it's never optional because I'm going to add some wine. Now, people often ask, oh, what wine should I get? Well, my advice is not the wine you buy at the gas station, okay? Because that's going to give you a headache. You want wine that you will drink. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because I learned this from Julia Child. She said to me, never cook with wine that you wouldn't drink. So, cheers. Oh, that's too good. Let me get some of this out of this. No, we're good. That fish is going to be happy with this wine, trust me. Bring your liquid to a boil. Now, at this point, you're probably saying, well, chef, you didn't put any salt in your liquid. Well, reason is I have put in there some wine, and that's the acid that I need. And the acid that's going to be in this liquid is actually going to change the color of the fish a little bit as it's cooking, and also give it the flavor that I need. There's salt and pepper shakers on everybody's table. They can put as much salt as they want. I'm going to make a dip, and the dip is actually going to have some nice seasoning in it as well. And you'll just see how we do that. So when I cooked this dish for Julia Child, I was cooking for a convention of indexers, and her cookbooks have the best index of any cookbook that's out there. In fact, they even cross-reference the indexes between both of her cookbooks. So in this particular case, when I cooked this, I said I'm going to do poached salmon because I want something that you never see at a banquet. Usually you see chicken, roast chicken. So I said I'm just going to do a poached salmon. Now, when you're cooking poached salmon for 218 people, it's a little tricky because you want to get it on the table while it's hot. I had 6 different stations that our chefs were just poaching salmon. And as they poached it, as soon as they got 8 plates done, it went to a table. So we were able to get them all fed pretty much in the same time. During the time that Julia Child was giving a speech, they asked would she take some questions. And she said, of course, I'll take questions, but you have to write them down and I'll decide what questions I want to answer. And so, you know, that probably wasn't her first rodeo, right? So she said, okay. She picked out the questions, and one of the questions was, did they use your recipe for today? And she said, no, they didn't. And the second part of the question, what do you think? Now I said, in my mind, oh my goodness, usually we bring out the cooks at the end of the dinner and they applaud us because they said we did a nice job. But if she said that I thought the food lacked some taste and flavor, everybody in the audience is going to agree with her, right? And the opposite would be true. If she said, I thought the food was wonderful, well, they may not be thinking it was wonderful, but if Julia Child said it was wonderful, everybody's going to agree with her. And thankfully, she said, I thought the food was wonderful. What do you think? That's what she said to the audience. They all started to applaud. So I told my guys, okay, it's safe. Come on up. We can take a bow. So look at our liquid now. It is actually boiling. I'm reducing it to a simmer. I'm not cooking it on a high boil. I just want to see just barely some bubbles coming up. Little bubbles, little bubbles, little bubbles. That's what I'm looking for. Very small bubbles coming. We're going to simmer. Because if I cooked it on a high one, it would tear the fish apart. I don't want that to happen. Let's place our... Now you want to have enough liquid in your pan that when you put the salmon in, it's covered, okay? I don't want it to be floating on top or swimming. I want it to be right inside the liquid, getting friendly with all those carrots and celery that we placed in there, and the wine, of course. Now, how long does it take to cook the salmon? You want to wait until it just starts to barely flake on the sides. And when it starts flaking, it's ready. I'm thinking it's probably going to take about maybe 3 minutes, okay? Surprisingly, fish cooked very quickly. Don't overcook it. It becomes dry and actually tasteless. Now, then obviously it was cold, and the cooking liquid is, you know, getting back up to speed again. So while that is poaching, keeping my eye on it, I'm going to show you how to make a wonderful dill sauce. So this is that tip I was going to make. You're going to love this sauce. You can make it ahead of time, put it in your refrigerator. You can use it on your sandwiches. You don't just have to need it for the fish. I find that it works well with so many wonderful things. I love it. Maybe a tomato sandwich would be good. Okay? So for this, I'm using a half a cup mayonnaise, the same amount of sour cream. You can double, triple, quadruple this recipe as you will. I'm using some very good mustard. I've got here some Dijon. You can use other types of mustards if you like. You don't need a whole lot, just a little bit of mustard in there. Gives it a nice color and a nice little kick up of flavor. The next ingredient I'm going to use is, look at this, fresh dill. I'm going to take my knife and give it a nice chop. If you have dried dill at home, it works also good with this recipe. We just happen to be growing some dill, and we're going to incorporate that. You need about a tablespoonful. When you buy the dried dill, look at the recipe. Sure, it's not the one that has salt in it. You want just the dill itself. Oh, that smells so good. Let's go ahead and get this up and place that into our bowl as well. I'm peeking at my salmon. It's poaching just lovely. See those little tiny bubbles? We love that. We love those bubbles. Okay, so we have our ingredients. As I said earlier, the mayonnaise, the mustard, some fresh dill. I want to go ahead and mix this up really good. So let's just do that. Let's put it in here and give it a good stir. And I also said earlier that this particular dip can be used for many different dishes, even as a spread for your favorite sandwich. Maybe a nice Dagwood sandwich would go good. It is perfect with salmon though. I really, really love this particular dip. And that's it. Put it in an airtight container. Always use a clean spoon or knife whenever you use it. That's very important. Now let's go ahead and take out our salmon because I think it's just about ready. Yep. And I'm going to use some lemon. So for the lemon, just going to go ahead and make a nice slice. For those who like a little bit of extra acid with their food. You can also, by the way, if you didn't want to use wine as the poaching liquid, you could use lemon juice. It works just as well, okay? I'm going to I have a little bit of paprika here. So with my lemon slice, I'm just going to dip it. Just dip the end in like that. Kind of give it an extra color. And for our poached salmon, now let's come ahead and let's look in the pan and just check this poached salmon out. And what I'm looking for now is just when it starts to flake. And see when you touch it, it just flakes off. That means it's ready. So let's go ahead and pull it up. Don't worry about the vegetables on there because I want the vegetables to be part of the presentation. Let's take out some of the carrots. Place them on there. A couple of more. Turn this off. Okay, and see it makes a nice presentation as well. We are going to take this is that wonderful dip that we made. So now let me go ahead and put some of that in a little bowl to the side. Place that right there. Take our lemon slices and we'll decorate our plate with that as well. And that's how we do poached salmon. Any of your thin fish, tilapia, flounder, that I wouldn't suggest for this type of poaching liquid, okay? Now, there it is, a wonderful way to serve food. It's not fried, so you know it's lower in calories. Your salmon, any of the fish that you cook can also be used for other dishes. For example, in a salad, you could chill it. You could, put it in the refrigerator and use it as that way. You can even take the poached salmon, and when it gets chilled, you can make salmon cakes out of it. All these wonderful things. So please, like us, comment on it, let us know what you think. We'd love to have you let us know, and so we can share information with you. Don't forget our recipes are located at the bottom, and this is the most perfect way to do a poached fish. Thank you so much, and remember, our recipes are simple and of course always delicious.